The BubbleDeck floor system is a hollow, flat slab that spans in two directions, in which plastic balls are incorporated to eliminate concrete in the middle of the slab, not contributing to the structural performance. The BubbleDeck floor system is carried on either precast or in-situ concrete columns to form a strong and stable concrete frame with no cross-bracing or additional work needed to achieve structural, fire resistance and sound insulation requirements.
On this project, Andy, our client has asked us if we can provide a first floor slab to support 2 floors of apartments above. He's actually constructing them out of a quite innovative system called mantle panel, which is a solid block of insulation in a panel format with boards either side. So it's lighter than a fully load-bearing blockwork construction, but there's some big spans here.
Right, well, we should be able to support that because it is quite light. Even with 2 stories, we should be able to cope with that on a 280 deck, I would have thought. I've done some preliminary calculations back there, and it looks okay, even for long-term load.
Compared to a flat slab of the same thickness, the finished floor has 35% lower weight, but with the same strength. Greater spans of about 40 times the slab thickness are achievable in both directions, with overhangs about 10 times the slab's thickness. The BubbleDeck floor system allows a possible total deadweight reduction of up to 50% in the overall building. Beams are not necessary, producing reduced structure depths, free pipe layout and maximum freedom for interior arrangements.
Paul, we've managed to get quite far down the road with this project here.
Oh, that's good.
We've managed to make this core work. Even the long span across the entrance works out okay.
Oh, that was this span, which is about 9.6 metres.
That's right. Deflections were worrying me there, but I've confirmed that that will work now. Quite a bit of reinforcement, but we've not got to change the slab depth. We've got no downstands, no beams, no walls, apart from the core, of course. And we must have saved a considerable amount on the project.
How much do you think we have saved?
I'd say 3% of the total build cost, or maybe 7% or more of the slab cost.
Pretty similar to the savings that we realised for our client on Locoy, which is about £400,000 in total.
The BubbleDeck system consists of semi-precast, either 3 or 2.4 metre wide elements with 60mm permanent concrete shuttering that are placed together on site. Loose reinforcements are inserted across the joints between the elements, and wire mesh is attached to the top of the deck for added strength. The remaining concrete is cast in situ to form the finished slab. Following placing and curing of the in-situ concrete, the joints between the elements structurally disappear. The whole slab becomes monolithic, spanning in 2 directions onto reinforced concrete columns.
Well, as you can see, showing up quite well on this drawing, the 2 key issues with any flat slab design are showing up. We've left out bubbles in these white areas here to deal with punching shear.
And then they're next to the columns.
That's right, yes, so over all of the columns. And you can see the spans are indicated by the concentrations of reinforcement that you see, which has been designed not just for strength but for deflection as well, because we need to stiffen up our flat slab structures by putting in enough steel. Otherwise the deflections will be too great, especially where you've got quite a high dead load, as we have in this case, supporting 2 stories of SIPs.
I understand that you've done some studies on deflections and got some results there.
That's
Can we have a look at that?
Yes, sure. Yeah. I've got them on the screen here. And over these large spans, we've still only got in the region of 30mm maximum deflection, which is good for a 50-year design life. With a solid flat slab, we would have much more than that unless we had a really thick slab, and consequent increases in steel too.
But most of the area is actually very low.
Yes.
Mostly less than 15 mil.
Yes, we're right down here in the sort of 10 to 15mm region, apart from this very small area at the back there.
BubbleDeck's revolutionary building method produces a wide range of cost and construction benefits. Design freedom, offering flexibility, adapting to irregular and curved plan layouts. Reduced dead weight. With 35% removed, it allows for smaller foundation sizes. Longer spans between column supports and load-bearing walls eliminated. Downstand beams eliminated with quicker and cheaper erection of walls and services. Reduced concrete usage, as 1 kilogram of recycled plastic replaces 100 kilograms of concrete. And it's environmentally green and sustainable due to reduced energy and carbon emissions. The overall result is a significant cost saving of between 2.5 and 10% of the total construction cost.
One of the other advantages of BubbleDeck as a flat slab is that it's very easy services integration.
Yeah.
You can just run services anywhere below the slab without hindrance of beams cutting across.
Yeah, services is just not an issue for us really. It's just an open field. They can go wherever they like, and they can make standard fixings into the soffit. If they want to go through it, they can drill holes. Larger holes we can cast in.
So they can drill holes through the BubbleDeck slab?
Yes, for smaller holes, we just allow them to drill holes for 100mm soil pipes and so on. No problem at all. It's easier than casting them in for that size of hole.
So all this makes life a lot more simple and easier for engineers and architects.
Exactly. They can
and services consultants.
They can almost forget about the service problem that plagues everybody right from the start of a steelwork project, for example.
By virtually eliminating concrete in the middle of the slab, BubbleDeck makes a significant contribution to reducing environmental impact. Guidance from the ODPM requires the direct environmental effects of buildings to be considered, including use of natural resources and emissions resulting from construction. Every 1,000 square meters of BubbleDeck floor slab saves 110 cubic meters of concrete, over 18 ready-mix lorry trips, 258 tons of foundation loads, 253 kilojoules of energy used in concrete production and haulage, and 42 tons of CO2 greenhouse gas emissions. BubbleDeck structures provide a substantial contribution to reducing carbon emission arising from construction.
Okay, this model is an example of a BubbleDeck 230mm deep slab, and here you can see the bottom mesh reinforcement and the top mesh reinforcement, which traps the bubbles in place in the correct position, and the top and bottom mesh are joined together by these vertical girders, which also provide additional reinforcement. It can be supplied just with the reinforcement and the bubbles, without this bottom concrete layer, as a reinforcement module for putting in place on site on traditional site shuttering. Alternatively, it can be supplied with the bottom precast layer of concrete acting as permanent formwork, which removes the need to do site shuttering. Once it's on site, the splice bar reinforcement is inserted between the bubbles, equally across the joint between this element and the one adjacent to it. There's a reinforcement mesh placed across the joint between the top reinforcement meshes on each element. When the concrete's cast, that makes these joints between the elements structurally redundant.
Recent tests were undertaken by acoustic consultant Ian Sharland Limited on a BubbleDeck 280mm slab with 5mm Etherfoam 222E impact sound insulation and 85mm screed on top, and a standard MF Castelline plasterboard ceiling with 230mm service void below. The tests reconfirmed that BubbleDeck provides sound insulation exceeding current regulation standards. Overall, construction can achieve an average 63 decibels reduction for airborne sound insulation and average 41 decibels reduction for impact sound insulation. While BubbleDeck slabs are not designed to provide thermal insulation, due to encapsulation of the air bubbles within the center of the concrete slab, BubbleDeck achieves between 17 to 39% higher thermal resistance than an equivalent solid slab of the same depth. BubbleDeck slabs can therefore make a useful contribution towards the thermal insulation achieved by the overall construction. BubbleDeck offers the complete design service. BubbleDeck is ideal for multi-storey buildings of all types: apartments, car parks, offices, hotels, schools, hospitals, laboratories, factories, utility and industrial buildings. BubbleDeck is a simple solution that reduces non-working dead load in concrete decks with void formers while fully maintaining biaxial strength. BubbleDeck, the engineering solution that radically improves building design and performance while reducing the overall cost. For more information or to discuss the application of BubbleDeck to your project, please get in touch.